Welcome to part one of a series that I like to call Getting the Miami Heat a Big Man.
Yes!
On almost every video I post, I get a ton of comments saying, this is irrelevant, just get the Miami Heat some size. Well, that's what I'm doing in this three-part video, so make sure to like and comment your thoughts to help boost the algorithm, but most importantly, subscribe, because I'm on the grind to hit 5K subs by the start of next basketball season, and I hope y'all enjoy the video. Peace out.
Now in part one, we're going to be looking at some guys that are currently under contract, but their names have been in a lot of rumors, so potentially they're on the trade market for the Miami Heat to acquire. Now, I want to say a lot of these trades aren't realistic. It's kind of difficult for the Heat to make any trades in general because we have a lot of money tied into our top 5 guys. Obviously, you got Jimmy, you got Bam, and then the next 3 guys are all guards. Terry, Tyler, Duncan, and a lot of the teams that we're looking to trade with don't necessarily need guards, but we're making a lot of assumptions here because there's a lot of variables, right? You got sign and trade, you still got free agency. So we're making, we don't really know what how the offseason will kind of play out. So just keep that in mind with a lot of how bad these trades are. It's just to share my opinion and get y'all opinion too. And I did order them in terms of least, how much I like them the least to how much I like them the most. So make sure to share your thoughts down in the comments below. So the first guy that I want to discuss is Jakob Poeltl. A guy that a couple years ago, I'm not going to lie, I was interested in because he is a big body. And I remember that the Raptors actually traded a first-round pick for him when it looked like they were ready to rebuild. And now here we are just a year later, and they do decide to rebuild. So they kind of did some bad asset management there. But back at the time when the Raptors get him for a first-round pick, he was honestly a guy that I was interested in. And in hindsight, I'm certainly glad that we did not, because he did sign a monster deal with them, a 4-year, $78 million deal that averages to $19.5 million a year. And he is he's starting the second year of that this upcoming season. So you got 3 more years of that. That's why I got him as my least preferred option in the trade market, because that's a lot of money for a guy that can't really shoot or play all that well in today's NBA. Now, he does have some size. I got his stats here in this last season with Toronto. He played 50 games, 11 points a night, which you like to see, and he did get you almost 9 boards. But again, he's a 0% three-point shooter, not a threat out there at all, and just a god-awful free throw shooter. He was at 55% last year. Now, he can pass the ball a little bit too. Obviously, he was at 2.5 assists a game here. So there's some good things about him, even the 1.5 blocks, right? He's a good, very solid body. Somebody that I certainly think the Heat could use because he's not a 0 on offense, 11 points per game. It's not like he's a Rudy Gobert bum that's stiff. That, as I'm recording this, that Timberwolves team just got blown out by Dallas today in Game 5. I'm very happy about it. But anyways, Poeltl's a good player. He's not worth the money. And if the Heat were to do some sort of trade with them, this is just kind of what I cooked up. I have the Miami Heat sending Tyler Hero to them, and then maybe we get a first-round pick back and a couple second-round picks. This is kind of an idea I did in a few of these trades because I think, obviously, the goal this offseason, dream Donovan Mitchell, right? I don't think that Cavs team would want Tyler Hero because if they don't like the Garland and Spider fit, why would they want Garland and Hero? You know what I mean? So in that case, we'd likely have to flip Hero to a third team to get some assets. And all you're really getting in this deal is you are getting an extra first-round pick you can use, so now you could trade 3 first-round picks to the Cavs instead of, 2 picks and Jaime Jaquez or however you want to look at it. So I don't love this trade, obviously, because of the money that Poeltl gets, but the Heat could do something like this. Moving on, we got Isaiah Stewart. Now, Isaiah Stewart is a guy that I love a lot. I started, being a fan of his once he tried to fight LeBron that one time because I like LeBron, but I'm still petty because he left the Heat and all that stuff, whatever. So I thought it was kind of funny when Stewart was trying to attack him that one time, I guess. It sounds kind of messed up to say, but anyways, I like Isaiah Stewart. I feel like he's a Heat culture guy. He hustles super hard, and he's got 4 years left on his contract, right? So he just signed a 4-year, $60 million deal, $15 million a year. That is a lot of money for him also, because if you look at the stats here, just last season in his 4th year, he averaged 11 points per game and almost 7 rebounds. So not eye-popping numbers, but obviously he was on a pretty bad Detroit team. But I think he's a good player. Is he worth $15 million? Maybe, right? I think it's better value than what Jakob Poeltl is getting. I'll say that. Because Isaiah Stewart, he actually is a threat stretching the floor. Last year, he shot almost 4 threes a game at 38%. That's something you'll have to see. 75% from the free throw line, so he's a guy that's reliable there. And he's just an ultimate hustle guy. I love that. That's Heat culture, right? The only reason that I don't have him any, higher on this list in terms of preference is, well, one, because he's got a lot of money left for 4 years. I don't like to be tied down into that kind of money in case guys pop up in free agency, but also because he's 6'8", and I'm kind of tired of getting guys that are small but play bigger than they are, right? We saw Caleb Martin, Hayward Highsmith, PJ Tucker. It's cool, but how about you get a guy who is big and plays like he's big? That's what I want to see. So as much as I like Isaiah Stewart, I would rather get someone who's actually a little bit bigger. If they were to do a trade with the Pistons, it could be something like this. Again, they'd be sending Tyler for a first-round pick that they could then flip in an asset. Now, I mean, if you're able to use that asset, right? Let's say you attach Duncan Robinson and, Terry Rozier and, 3 first-round picks. Now you still got Donovan Mitchell. You got Isaiah Stewart. You got Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic still. You could build a nice team. I think one thing that we'll learn is that there's a lot of teams that I think might be interested in Tyler Hero. And just like I think the Raptors might be in the last trade, right? Because I know that team has Grady Dick. I don't know how much they believe in him, but they got RJ Barrett. They got Quickly. Those are 2 kind of point guards there. And I think Tyler Hero could play nice next to either one. Mostly Barrett, I guess. But obviously in Detroit, I think he'd have a role. They have a lot of guards as well. I mean, I guess Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham. But Tyler Hero is just so much of a better shooter than both of those guys. So I think they would like some of his talents there. Next, we got Nikola Vucevic, a random scrub Heat killer Hall of Famer. Now, I guess he's not technically a scrub. He's a one-time All-Star. But he has, if you ask Bulls fans, he has one of the worst contracts in the entire NBA. But it's almost over. Only 2 years left at almost $20 million a year. Now, the funny thing about Nikola Vucevic is he's a guy that a few years ago, back when he was traded to the Bulls from the Magic, I was willing to send Tyler Hero for him and like a pick because the Heat sucked at rebounding. I like Tyler Hero, but I said, give me some size, a guy that can stretch the floor next to Bam. And then Vucevic went to the Bulls, and he was okay for a season, and then he kind of fell off a cliff. I mean, let me not say that. You see his numbers here, his last season with the Bulls, 18 points a night, still got you almost 11 rebounds, but the three-point shooting was under 30%. I mean, 29%, 4 attempts a night. That's not great, right? When especially just a few years before that, he was right at 40%. I thought he would sort of continue to be sort of the stretch 4, stretch 5. That's the main reason I loved him. But I think those hot shooting seasons was a bit of a fluke. Now, Vucevic will always be a guy that can rebound. That's something the Heat need. That's why I wouldn't absolutely hate this. But being a defensive sieve that he is, $20 million, another 2 seasons. He's going to be 35 next season, or I guess 34 and then 35 his last year of his deal. I want to get younger. I want to get faster. As good as a bucket Vucevic still is and grab you some boards, he's not quite the direction I want to go. And a trade, I put a couple here, could look something like this. Vucevic and Caruso for Tyler Hero. Vucevic is looked at as a negative asset, so the Bulls would kind of have to attach a first-round pick to get rid of him in most cases. In this case, they would just be sending Caruso, get back Tyler Hero. Or I did a similar deal where they keep Caruso, we get a first-round pick, and just send them Terry Rozier, because I do think that team could use some more guard help. Maybe they prefer Terry over Tyler, because Tyler and Levine, are more similar there. Maybe they like Terry because he's a true one. Lonzo Ball's obviously still going to miss some more time, even though it looks like he's starting to get more healthy. But then again, that Bulls team still has Kobe White. So why would they want Terry? I don't know. Again, that goes back to, I don't think a lot of these teams want our guards, but a trade could look something like this. Obviously, the Heat have a lot more contracts they could send out. They got Duncan Robinson. They could do a sign and trade with Caleb Martin. Again, that's all the variables that I'm talking about here. So if you leave in a comment saying, oh, what about this? Well, thank you, because all comments help the algorithm. Do appreciate it. Next, here we got Mitchell Robinson, a guy that is making $14 million this year, $12 million next year. So again, is that a bit of an overpay too? I don't know. It's hard for me to say because really, who isn't overpaid in today's NBA? Do I like this deal more than the value of Jakob Poeltl? Yes, obviously. But do I want to pay a guy who's kind of a zero on offense, $10+ million? You have to, I guess, right? I mean, is he better than the minimum guys we've been getting? The Cody Zellers, the Dwayne Dedmans? Yes. Is he better than Thomas Bryant? Yes. But again, I don't know if I'd want to pay him this much, but it is only 2 more seasons. He's only going to be 26 next year, so he's still pretty young. But in his last year with the Knicks, he was averaged 6 points per game. But what you love to see is the rebounds, almost 9 a game with almost 5 offensive rebounds a game. That's what you love to see. What you don't love to see is 40% from the free throw line. Ew. My God, that's atrocious. And obviously, if you look at his games played over the last few years, 31, 59, he hasn't been super reliable health-wise either. So I like what he brings defensively. If you look here, over a steal and a block a game. That's kind of why I put him higher than Vucevic. I think with a center, I'd like to lean defense because they've had guys that could score. Bam Adebayo, I trust to score. They got, Nikola Vucevic, 6'10", could score. I'd like to lean defense to get a guy that can maybe guard Nikola Jokic or at least box him out. Same with Joel Embiid. But a trade would look something like this. Send Duncan Robinson this time. They also give us a first-round pick. Would the Knicks value Duncan over Mitchell Robinson? I don't know, right? I know the Knicks might trade Robinson because they got Isaiah Hartenstein, who's a free agent. They're going to have to re-up him for likely a lot of money because he had a very good postseason. Maybe they don't want to pay 2 centers that much money, so they try to get rid of him with 2 years left. And they want to use the shooting of Duncan Robinson because Bojan Bogdanovic is getting a bit older. Alec Burks getting a bit older. Josh Hart's not a great shooter, although in the playoffs he was phenomenal. So maybe they want to use him. I know they got Dante DiVincenzo, sniper, but I don't know. Maybe the Heat do this because Duncan Robinson's got back issues that was lingering in the playoffs that might not get better with age. Again, this is not a great trade. It's not. Next, we got Jarrett Allen, the one-time All-Star, who I think would be a great fit on the Miami Heat. He's a guy that is getting a lot of money, $20 million this year and next year. But again, he is an All-Star caliber player. He's not Jakob Poeltl. Sorry to keep throwing a lot of shade on the boy, but he's actually a pretty decent player. Is he worth $20 million? Maybe. Again, I don't know. I can't keep asking a guy's worth because everyone is overpaid in today's NBA. But last season with the Cavs, he averaged 16 points per game with over 10 boards, 3 offensive rebounds a night, and free throw shooting wise, he was at 74%. So although he's not a threat from the 3, didn't even attempt, 0.1 last year, he is a guy that you can trust at the free throw line, which is one of the biggest concerns with bigs, right? You talk Jakob Poeltl, you talk Mitchell Robinson. I don't want to get a guy who's a great defensive big if he can't shoot free throws because I hate seeing players get hacked. Well, I like to see it, but I hate when it's on my team because I remember when they used to hack a Whiteside back in the day, and it was annoying, and it could cost you a lot of close games, although Whiteside did improve his free throw shooting drastically, at least for a little bit. But I do think Jarrett Allen's a pretty good player. The fit-wise, you might have some questions next to Bam Adebayo, but I mean, this guy is a great shot blocker, has averaged over 1 a game every single year of his career. Great rebounder, great lob threat, could finish at the rim. And I think you give Spoelstra a tool like that, a player he hasn't had in a long time, and I only think you'll see a bunch of positives. A trade could look something like this. Maybe we send over Tyler Hero to the Cavs, get Jarrett Allen and Ty Jerome. Tyler Hero is definitely a better player than Jarrett Allen, even though Allen's an all-star and Hero's not. But I just think fit-wise, the Heat would do something like this because Allen's a better fit, right? They don't have someone that can do what he does. Meanwhile, they have someone like Terry Rozier, who you could argue is similar to Tyler Hero there. The Cavs would only do something like this if they wanted to do a full rebuild, send off Garland, send off Donovan Mitchell, and maybe you got Hero as your lead guard now. You could also do something like this second trade here where the Heat get Allen and Ty Jerome and send over Duncan Robinson. Maybe do a signing trade with someone like Caleb Martin because I think the Cavs could use some more, versatile defense at the wing position. Obviously, you got Evan Mobley, but the guys they've been trying to start like Max Strus, Karis LeVert, Isaiah Okoro, it hasn't really worked out well. So I think Caleb is a guy that has proven he can be a starter there. And in this case, the Heat also attach a first-round pick. So a couple of nice contracts for the Cavs and a first-round pick for Jarrett Allen. I don't think is bad value for them. Next, we got Clint Capela. This guy is on an expiring deal. It's a lot of money, $22 million. I could tell you this, he ain't worth that. But the reason I have it actually second to last here on my list is because it is expiring. So you get him from one season. If it doesn't work out, fine. His money's off the books and you clear a ton of salary cap space going into next season. Now, we all know what Clint Capela is about. Somehow he's only 29 this past season, so he's still relatively young. He's a guy that could finish the lob threat. Terry Rozier is an excellent lob passer, so I'd love to get a big that's very good at that as well. And last year, Capela averaged over 11 points per game, got you almost 11 rebounds, almost 5 offensive rebounds a game. Terrible free throw shooter, not a threat from 3 like a lot of these other guys. I know earlier I said I don't want a big that can't shoot free throws, but for a guy on an expiring deal and a guy that is as good defensively as Clint Capela is, and he's a much bigger body than someone like who was I saying earlier? He's a much bigger body than Mitchell Robinson. I would like him better than that, particularly because I really like this trade that I cooked up, where the Heat get DeJounte Murray and Clint Capela for Hero, Duncan, Caleb, which would be a sign-and trade, and then 3 first-round picks. Because in this deal, the Heat could have a starting lineup of what? DeJounte Murray, throw in whatever 2 you want to put there, and then you got, or I guess, Terry Rozier, right? He would still have Terry in this trade. Is Terry and DeJounte a nice fit? Could be, right? One's an offensive guard, one's a more defensive guard that could facilitate. So you'd have DeJounte, you'd have Terry, you'd have Jimmy, Bam, and you could put Capela, or start Jovic next to Bam, have Capela come off the bench so he can give you some minutes as a huge, big, if you are playing a Nikola Jokic, or I was going to say Karl Anthony Towns, that boy is soft, or Joel Embiid, someone like that. It's just nice to have reliable size on your bench that you could go to. This is a trade that I'd absolutely love, and it's beneficial to maybe a Donovan Mitchell trade because you are keeping Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic. Next, we got Mo Wagner. He is the last one on this list. I know it might seem like not the flashiest name, but look at some of these numbers. Mo Wagner, last year of his deal, only $8 million for him. He is a true 7-footer, very athletic. Last year, only played 18 minutes a night because the Magic have a ton of size. Paulo Banchero, his brother Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac. So he didn't get a lot of PT, but in those 18 minutes a night, the man averaged 11 rebounds, 4 boards a game. Those are very great numbers for a guy in limited playing time. And again, it's not limited playing time because he's ass. It's because they got a lot of depth at that position. But check this out. 33% from 3, over 1 attempt per night. His previous 2 seasons, he was shooting almost 3 threes a game. So he's a guy that at 7'3" or at 7 foot can stretch the floor. And from the free throw line, he's been over 80% every year for the last several seasons. So he's a guy that is very reliable there. I think Mo Wagner is one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA. Very, very good offensively. Again, like all these guys, great lob catcher, could finish inside, has great touch around the rim. He's very close with Duncan Robinson because they went to Michigan together. Listen to him on Duncan's podcast. He seems like an awesome guy. He's hilarious, and he is tough. He's an instigator. He's something that I think this Heat team was missing when Udonis Haslem retired. Kind of a guy that can get in there if things get dirty and stand up for the teammate, and someone who's not play dirty, but someone who's not afraid to stand up for his teammates physically if he needs to. And for that reason, I really am a fan of Mo Wagner, especially when you take into account the contract, because then he could do something like this. They could send Tyler Hero over to the Magic, which I think is a great suitor to get him because they need some scoring at the guard position. Anthony Blagg, Cole Anthony, those guys were okay last season. Jalen Suggs is great, but he's more of a defensive guard. Get them Tyler Hero, a guy that could score over 20 points on any given night. I think the fit is seamless. And in return, the Heat get Ingles and Wagner, 2 guys who were minimal parts of the rotation, and they get a first-round pick with a couple seconds thrown on top of that. So you get a role player that I think is very good in Wagner. Maybe Ingles could play a little bit too. I don't know. He's a bit older. But you also do get that first-round pick that you can now flip in a Donovan Mitchell trade and a couple seconds on top of that. So this is my favorite trade. And that's pretty much all I got to say for part 1 of this video. And part 2 that'll be coming out, we'll be talking about the free agents that are out there that the Heat can maybe sign outright. So make sure y'all subscribe so you don't miss it. And yeah, that's all I got to say. So 5K, baby. As of right now, we about like 907 away from 5,000. So I appreciate all the support. This was a long video. So if you stayed this long, comment Rudy Gobert is a bum. And I'll heart your comment and maybe shout y'all out eventually. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.